Greetings all. The title of this video is an exchange. Exchange for your body, exchange for your mind, exchange for your soul. Everybody has that, some more than others. So, I have the privilege that some may not have had. Been around some people who think outside the box, and it was inspiring. But it was hard for me to make the connection in the beginning. I was like 20, 21, and at that age, it certainly wasn't center stage. So although I did try to eat the food for the mind, although I digested it, the missing link, I would say, was two things: age, time and place. That's three things, but that's all one. The other one, which is the second, was so I said age, right? And the other one was the connection. The connection is the main thing, and basically the reason I didn't make the connection is because I gave up. I started 2021. I had the potential to make the connection 100% because I was so inspired. I changed literally overnight. It was overnight. I remember I chatted to this guy, talked to him about my problems I was going through that were kind of personal, but it wasn't really. It was just being young and stupid. And then he basically somehow made me connect with my consciousness. I couldn't go back after that. So I basically certainly made a digest. I certainly ate the food he was serving for my mind, which is connected to the soul, and I certainly digested it, and I certainly made a connection then. But being at my age, being in that environment, being at that time, this was probably mid-90s, early 90s maybe. Yeah, mid to early 90s. So you could imagine the place and the influences. You probably better than anybody, even the people who were there. But basically, what happened was I got inspired, but I didn't have enough influence, didn't have enough support. And you know, at the same time, there are people who probably had a similar experience at the similar time, at the similar age, and got a result. But I wasn't maybe that privileged. But I knew, right, because of the change of consciousness, I knew what was right and I knew what was wrong, but it didn't matter at that age, at that time, in that place, because I actually went vegetarian at that time. Veganism was seeming extreme, and it was very people didn't even know what it meant. Yeah, people didn't even know what it meant. So first time around, I had like 3-4 times with this spiritual path. First time around, I went vegetarian. I lost weight because I was literally pro-vegetarian. During this time, the inspiration was there, the connection was there. Yeah, I have to admit, I did lose a few things going down this path. And I'm not saying you would. Maybe my path was a unique one, or just, you know, different for me, because I don't believe this is necessarily true if you go through this. But I actually got a little bit insecure, which basically decreased my confidence. Had a little bit of anxiety, I would say, especially around people and with cannabis. And so I didn't really smoke, really, because I didn't enjoy it. I actually fucking feared it. Yeah, could you fucking believe it? But it's true, that's what it was, and that's why it's good, because I can tell you the truth about cannabis maybe another time. But basically, so all that happened, and because of that, I think I actually know that was the main reason the connection got disconnected and the inspiration got decreased. And I wanted what I originally had, confidence, and all the things that come with that were gone. I wanted that back. So I still think it was more or less a great experience, because it opened me up to things that I wouldn't have experienced if it wasn't for me being on that path. And I would say that's acknowledgement of value. That is very hard to identify at that age, in that environment, at that time. And it's the same now. And I think I actually did make a video. Well, it's a damn long video. It's a damn crazy strange video because it was done last week Saturday. And you may find out about it, I'm not sure. It's quite, because those long videos, the reason why you see so much short videos on YouTube, because the long videos really can be overwhelming and take a lot of focus and your time and your energy and your resources, yeah. And funny enough, YouTube will pay you more for longer videos, but I don't think people quite up with that yet. But it might not be convenient, yeah. But I don't mind. I don't really mind doing that if I think something's valuable. And that's the thing. A lot of the things I find valuable, people will not see as valuable. You know, a lot of these things I'm talking about. It's a funny gamble because of the return on the gamble. But to me, if one person makes a connection, that's fine. That's the goal, really. Like a big result. Like, to me, that's a million views. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, if I was doing this and I got 1 million views and or whatever, I don't need much money. So if I got the money that I would desire, which is probably like, I would be happy to make an extra £200 sterling a week from what I'm doing. Yeah. Anything £200, you know, between £200 and £500 a week is quite a lot of money, I believe. So I'll be happy with that. But at the same time, I'd rather have it as it is and make somebody connect with what's valuable. Yeah, what is valuable is the truth, what matters, and basically that's the furthest thing from the center stage. So but at the same time, let's get back to, because we're talking about exchange. I'm making this video because when you exchange things for the indigenous things, the things that the samosas, the things you're supposed to, yeah, which are the things that matter. When you make the connection, it will be tangible to understand. But until you make the connection, it's going to be complete mumbo jumbo garbage. Yeah. But like I was saying in the beginning, when I was 21 and I made the connection and all that stuff, and then, you know, I eventually went back to eating animals. I basically went back into the things I was into, because my goal, this is live, like how I was thinking at the time, which, you know, you may think it takes courage. I'm just used to talking the truth. It's not difficult for me, you know. Plus I've got Jamaican heritage, so that's a very honest land, sometimes brutally honest, yeah. Alright, but basically, yeah, so in my mind, I wanted what was mine. And then I came across a book called What to Say to Yourself, how to get confidence, or something on that environment, because that's what I was looking for. So I would say it was something to do with confidence, or yeah, or was it something something like that. But it resonated with me, and it was a great book. I forgot the name of the guy, but I remember the name of the title of the book, and it was What to Say to Yourself. And I read the book, and I believed in the book, and I implemented what the book said, and I am the person I am today because of that book. And my friend of mine, who was the greatest footballer I've ever witnessed physically, he's probably like, I would say, the third best football player I know in the world. Yeah, I won't go into that, although that's a very good story. But basically, he had the same problem. I have the problem still to today, as in performing in front of people, but I don't think it's a problem. I think if you are a person who generally are into what you're into for the aspect of fulfillment, fun, yeah, like you got inspired seeing someone, you're gonna get more inspired doing it. It's a inner fulfillment. Yeah, if that is the case, I believe you're probably gonna struggle in front of people, because that's not what it gets corrupted. It gets Olympic like. They want results and how high can you jump and how fast can you do it, and it's like a beat. You got to beat. You got to win. You got to win. It's just a load of ingredients for the wrong result. So, and then there's an energy. Even if you watch, I've got a video on this channel, yeah, and it's C-Mac, my G C-Mac, and he's in a comp and he's murking it. It is beautiful, but the energy, when you compare it to other videos where they're on their own, you can tell, although this is probably the best skating on the video, I don't really like watching it. And it's got great music and everything, but it's the energy, which maybe you're unaware of it, because we're from two different worlds. Like, you might be into the center stage. I am literally as far as possible from the center stage. Yeah, veganism, spirituality, what matters, is nowhere near the center stage. So that's maybe why I have that reaction. But yeah, so back to the story, because I was talking about confidence. This book gave me that, and also, not just the book, I actually subscribed to Wu-Tang. You all know Wu-Tang. Well, I don't know if you know Wu-Tang like how we knew it, because we was going through it. You actually having like a highlighted version. But when you was going through it, I was going through what they was going through, and they was kind of equipping me to go through it. And that gave me a lot of confidence. And then during that was the first New World Order. That was the first New World Order, just a bit before 2000, and it just seemed watered down going towards that. If you're really into Wu-Tang, or you're really into hip hop, and you're literally having a virtual reality experience of the 90s, then you will know towards like the third album, it was a bit different, and we was a bit different, the planet was a bit different, the culture was a bit different, yeah. And like I said, if you really subscribe to that, and it's hard to really get it authentically because they've got all the dates and information is not all genuine. They've thrown in a few fake parts, which you probably catched on to now. But basically, yeah. Not just confidence, but it was a transform of energy being subscribed to Wu-Tang. And I'm not talking about the beat, like he says, the beat, as Master Killer says, you know, it weren't just about the beat, it was the connection. It was the connection, and there was many ways to connect, let alone the bones, yeah? So, basically, yeah, it basically enhanced me in, nothing's enhanced me like Wu-Tang until I went to Rastafari, and then I got even more confident and I got even more enhanced, yeah. But I was also at the same time very well educated, and it was genuine education. There was some miseducation, yeah, that you know, like the lack of experience of outside of what that was what the focus was in that environment. So we made our own assumptions of things that wasn't really true, and was at our disadvantage, I believe, painting the picture now, a few years later. So yeah, I basically subscribed to spirituality, but it was probably 60%. I was thinking maybe 80%, you know, but it was really missing a lot, making assumptions about things due to the actions of others. It's a bit ignorant when you judge, and I think better of people of colour when it comes to this part, although we have decreased intellectually. When it comes to seeing somebody, you shouldn't make judgment over other experiences because someone looks like that. That is the most primitive thing. You can't get more primitive than that. But it's funny, as much as I evolved, as much as I expanded, I actually decreased by this ignorance, and I was making judgment. 100%, I was making judgment of others over others' experience, which is, you can't get more primitive. But that was actually kind of the norm, the support of that environment to do that, thinking it was something of benefit. And in some sense it would be if you was right about the people you was making judgment of, but there's no way that is the case. And then as I basically did more research on the reverse engineering or way of looking at things, meaning starting giving these things that I never gave a chance chances, I realised I was completely wrong in a lot of senses. Not all senses now, yeah, not all senses, but in a lot of senses, yeah, to the fact that I was actually inspired. Yeah, I was inspired nearly as much as Rastafari, although Rastafari is personal and everything like that. There is some things in there that won't ignite the things that are inside of here, which is yourself. Yeah, because it's just things that are, and there's things you cannot deny. You know, you can and you can paint a picture and you can convince others, but you know, if something is good or bad, it will come to the surface eventually. It can't be buried and hidden. It can't. It's just, you can't. It's hard to explain. But anyway, so this time around, oh yeah, by the way, when I went Rastafarian, I did all the veganism stuff and all that stuff, but it wasn't the connect. It wasn't genuine veganism. It was not. This veganism I did was because it was a trend, because spiritual people were vegan, because Rastafarians were vegan. Yeah, that was the reason I connected with veganism. Yeah, so that's why I disconnected from veganism, because if I had the real connection with vegan, and I see, you know, like the Tim Sheafs went back to eating animals, and Jacka Wacka, I don't know what's going on there, and I'm not really gonna spend my energy on that environment, that topic or whatever, yeah. But personally, I think if you actually make the connection with veganism, you can't. The same way you couldn't eat your mother, regardless of how great it tastes, unless you did love your mother. You know, there might be a few imbalances in the brain because of lack of love. But I'm just saying that a person who loves his mother and a mother loves her, but there's no way, no matter, it could be the best meal in the world, yeah, you will not eat that. Or even if you did eat that and it was told you, mother, you wouldn't eat that again if you were starving, Bridget. Yeah? Unless, well, I don't know, maybe some would, or maybe some, it could give a reason. But for me personally, this thing about life, and you know, like if I was about to die and I needed it, to me it doesn't mean anything, really, because the afterlife is way more important. And what makes you think you have the right to eat an animal who's going through the same thing, yeah, but because it's an animal, you must eat it because you're... I don't really agree with it. When I hear vegans say it, and I, you know, cool, whatever. But me personally, I don't think I would do it, saying that I haven't been in the circumstances, and saying that environments have a good effect on your decisions, yeah? So if I was by myself, I can't believe I would do such a thing, yeah? Because I actually don't look at animals how people look at animals. People say, I'm vegan, yeah, but humans come first. No. I want to know what humans you're talking about, because why is that the case? You know what I mean? Because the humans I know doesn't seem to, if anything, even if they was using 100% of the mind and was in tune with nature and doing everything they're supposed to do, I still don't think a human is more important than an animal. Yeah, I think if we was like that, we'd probably understand the value of an animal and would give it, because how I see it is this human experience is created for all of us to experience utopia. Yeah. So how does that work? If we all are here to experience utopia, who has the right to eat who? Yeah. And then you could say animals eat each other. Well, that's another video. Yeah. And I actually gonna end that part right here by saying I don't believe in the beginning And I don't believe God made animals to eat each other. Something went wrong there, just like how the planet shouldn't be divided into countries. It wasn't designed like that. Something happened where it made the planets divided. Yeah? We was once one whole planet. Well, whatever made that planet, our planet divide into countries, is what made the animals eat each other, I believe. And created things like snakes, crocodiles, sharks, fawns, anything that basically we could do without, I think came from that thing. And that's the only Big Bang I could think of. Not no Big Bang Theory. I'm not down with the Big Bang Theory. I totally think that's a, pantomime, pop-up book sort of theory. It's fantasy. Complete fantasy. So basically, I want to check how we got here. So I'm going to pause this and read the writing, because this is the app that does the writing. Rightio. So I was talking about, I went Rastafari. I went what I thought was vegan, and that fell apart because I had a spiritual awakening, basically. And the spiritual awakening was a fucking, and I got to use the F word, because when I'm talking about blowing your mind, you ever heard that blew my mind? I don't think they know what that means. They don't know what that means. It's the same as born again. They don't know what that means. I had two of those. My mind was blown and I was born again, basically. And when someone says their mind was blown, I literally had like a psychedelic experience without taking no psychedelics. Yeah. And the other thing, what was the other thing I said? Born again. Born again, literally like unrecognizable, like really unrecognizable. And it took me a while to build my. I basically got destroyed from what the Wu-Tang, the Rastafari. I basically got destroyed, and then I got rebuilt. Yeah. And you could say the destroying wasn't just myself, but I certainly think I'm better off, and I'm not saying that for anyone else but myself. And the rebuilding, I think, was also not just myself, and that's real spiritual family I can't see, but they are family. They're family like no other, you know what I'm saying? Because now as I speak, I'm kind of looking back. I didn't even think about that. I got rebuilt not just by myself. All this time until now, I thought it was myself, but thinking back, no, it wasn't. It was this spiritual family I cannot physically identify. Yeah. So and I know probably I should give more information on that, because what you're seeing, I'm not sure, but that is a not a very graphic picture, but let's keep it short, let's keep it sweet. So yeah, the veganism, the first time I went back to eating animals, because this spiritual experience was it seemed deceitful, it seemed wrong in times, but you want to carry on like it's spiritual. I said, alright, fuck it, let's eat some meat and see how spiritual I am now. Yeah, because I ain't down with this shit kind of thing. And I ate meat for a long time, and I think that was my way of escaping this spiritual awakening, because it wasn't nice. It was not nice at all, trust me. I mean, but at the same time, I must admit, as it says in the Bible, God will put you through what he knows you can handle. But bloody hell, we can handle a lot then. We can handle a lot, because literally, like I said, it was like I was being beheaded. Yeah, and I was really I know I was really going through a lot because of how I reacted to it. Yeah, and I didn't want to react that way, but there was no choice. I had no choice on my reaction. Yeah, and it was a dark, difficult time. You know, when someone says that, dark, difficult time, I understand that. And if you've been through that, you'll understand that, because yeah, I see a guy on YouTube, a homeless guy in England, and when I saw his face, I said, I know exactly what he's going through or going through. It speaks to you. That face, I know, basically, he feels completely alone. Yeah, and no one else knows what he's going through, probably but the people who I just mentioned, who said they've been in a dark place. That place there is literally like there's no words can explain it. It is like a crucifixion. I think is a pretty colourful picture when it comes to explaining what I went through. A crucifixion, what Jesus went through. You know what I mean? And even now I can feel an energy. I'm not sure if it's me or what, but as I'm talking through that, I can feel this energy, like whoever that energy is, like, yeah, I agree. And it's like that energy seems to have had some connection with that, like it felt it too. And that's all I'm saying, because I'm not experienced with that stuff, but that is what I'm experiencing right now. And anyway, so yeah, the veganism I stopped, and it was my way of escaping that crucifixion, yeah. And you couldn't escape it, because from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, it was in action, yeah. This psychedelic experience was in action from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. And a lot of times, if I went to sleep, I'll experience some. It was all bizarre. It was all not normal, not everyday stuff, yeah. And I heard of mushrooms, I heard of LSD. I was always scared of those things. So it was nothing to do with that. This is something, some born right thing, you know. And the funny thing is, because I always, regardless of me going back to eating meat, regardless of me cutting my locks, regardless of me forgetting Rastafari, I will always be a spiritual person. From that day, I was 20 years old, and I spent time with this young man, talking until the sun rose, and that was it. That was the change. That was the consciousness. That was no return. No passing on return. Although I had 3 times where I went back to what matters, meaning being vegan, meaning focusing on spirituality, yeah. And by 2015-ish, 2014-15, around that time, being into the things I was into, spirituality, that's the main stage for me. I basically went on YouTube, yeah, and dabbled in the community of spirituality, and I discovered this is where it's pretty peak. I'm not sure how your focus is now. It's 20, 30, 27 minutes. But if you really listen to this, check this out. This may get missed, because I don't know, like, we miss things. But basically, I'm gonna tell you, this part to me was quite special. Although I was relaxed about it, I wasn't too swept off my feet. But if you think about it, it's pretty massive. Like, when I went dabble into the community of spirituality online, YouTube mainly, I think entirely, I came across a lot of things called, what was it called? Something night, the dark night or something like that. Basically what it is a spiritual awakening, yeah? And it was around that time I was basically just getting over my spiritual awakening. Things were starting to become, the world was starting to become back to how it was, normal, because until that time, it was just a psychedelic experience without psychedelics, yeah? But around 2012, when I moved to Kensal Green, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, things got easier, yeah? Because all my problems was where I was before. You know, that crucifixion was in that place. The people in that place didn't help the crucifixion, although I think it wasn't so bad, because, you know, I opened up my mind a bit to different things, and it kind of worked out, but it was still difficult and painful. And it was just me on my own. And there wasn't too many people who was like myself, yeah, because I wasn't really raised in that part of the world. I came to that world being raised from another environment, a totally different environment, into this world. So I was always kind of struggling in some ways, always, regardless if I was on their side or on my side. It was really always a struggle. So basically, yeah, so when I was online, YouTube, searching for things of the nature of spirituality, I discovered, and this is the thing I was talking about, the big thing, listen up this, I discovered a lot of people was having the exact same spiritual awakening I was, and they was all into spirituality. And what is spirituality? Spirituality is the soul. What is the soul? The soul is within the physical body, yeah? And this physical body is having experience on earth, yeah? So as much as we're into spirituality, as much as we, you know, person who's into spirituality is probably gonna be like into those things that are in synergy with that. Gotta make another video.